The world of high-tech innovation is not built on silicon and wires. It is built on secrets. I stood in the center of our smart home's glass atrium, the moonlight reflecting off my platinum blonde bob. My reflection looked back at me with cold, gray eyes, the eyes of a woman who had spent 15 years building an empire from a garage. I was Ava, the CEO of Nexus AI, and I had just discovered that the greatest security threat to my company wasn't a Russian hacker or a rival corporation. It was the man sleeping in the bedroom down the hall. Ethan, with his effortless sandy brown hair and his gentle, supportive smile, was a ghost in my system. For 2 years, he had been the perfect husband, the man who brought me coffee at 3 a.m. while I coded. But as I stared at the decrypted logs on my private tablet, I realized those late-night coffees were just a way to see over my shoulder. He wasn't supporting my dreams. He was harvesting them. The betrayal felt like a sudden drop in temperature. According to the data, Ethan had been funneling our core AI architecture to Sophia, the CEO of Aegis Tech, and my most bitter rival. Sophia, with her dark wavy hair and a thirst for power that rivaled my own, had always been a step behind me. Now I knew why she was suddenly catching up. My husband, the man I shared my life with, was the bridge she was using to cross the gap. Every time Ethan kissed me, he was thinking of Sophia's dark wavy hair and the millions she was depositing into his offshore accounts. Every time he asked how my day was, he was looking for a vulnerability. I felt a surge of white-hot rage, but I didn't let it touch my face. In Silicon Valley, the one who shows emotion first is the one who loses. I adjusted my minimalist black suit and began to write a new line of code. If they wanted my AI, I would give them exactly what they asked for, but with a hidden terminal cost. For the next 3 weeks, I played a dangerous game of cat and mouse. I sat at her white marble kitchen island, my platinum blonde bob shimmering under the pendant lights, as I accidentally left my high-level access keys visible. I watched Ethan through the reflection of the toaster. I saw his hand tremble slightly as he memorized the codes. He looked so innocent with his sandy brown hair falling over his forehead, wearing a soft cashmere sweater I had bought him for Christmas. "You look stressed, honey," he said, his voice dripping with fake concern. I looked into his eyes and saw nothing but a stranger. "Just a big launch coming up," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach my gray eyes. I was feeding him Project Icarus, a version of my AI that looked flawless but contained a logical loop that would trigger a total system collapse under high-volume usage. It was a Trojan Horse made of pure math. The tension in the house was suffocating, yet I never broke character. I watched Ethan meet Sophia in secret through a drone I had deployed. They met in a dimly lit bar downtown. Sophia wore a silk emerald dress that made her dark wavy hair pop, laughing as Ethan handed her a flash drive. I watched the footage on my phone while sitting in my darkened office, my fingers tapping rhythmically on the desk. They were celebrating a victory that hadn't happened yet. Sophia thought she was going to humiliate me at the Global Tech Summit. She thought she was going to unveil the first true sentient AI and leave me in the dust. I leaned back, the blue light of the monitor reflecting in my gray eyes. "Fly as high as you want, Icarus," I whispered to the empty room. "The sun is waiting." The day of the summit arrived, a sweltering afternoon in San Francisco. The convention center was packed with thousands of investors, journalists, and tech enthusiasts. I walked through the lobby in a sharp, tailored black blazer, my platinum blonde bob cut with razor-like precision. I looked like a woman in control, and for the first time in weeks, I actually was. I saw Ethan in the VIP lounge, wearing a charcoal designer suit that I had paid for. He looked at me with a mix of guilt and excitement, his sandy brown hair perfectly styled. "Today changes everything, Ava," he said, holding a glass of champagne. "You have no idea," I replied, clinking my glass against his. I could see Sophia across the room, her dark wavy hair cascading over a crimson power suit. She gave me a triumphant nod, the look of a predator who thinks the prey is trapped. The lights dimmed and the keynote began. Sophia took the stage to a thunderous standing ovation. She began her presentation, her voice booming through the speakers as she described the Aegis 1 AI. Behind her, massive screens displayed complex neural networks, the very ones Ethan had stolen from me. I sat in the front row, Ethan right beside me. He took my hand, his grip tight. I felt the sweat on his palm. On stage, Sophia initiated the live demonstration. Today, we witnessed the birth of a new era, she announced. She entered the command to activate the AI. For a moment, the screen glowed with a beautiful, pulsating blue light. The audience held its breath. Then the blue light turned a violent, flickering red. The code didn't just crash. It began to speak. Instead of the AI as planned greeting, the screens began to scroll through a series of private emails. The first one was from Ethan to Sophia. I have the final encryption layer. She suspects nothing. The room went dead silent. Then came a photo of them at the bar, followed by a detailed list of bank transfers from Aegis Tech to Ethan's private accounts. Sophia's face turned the color of ash. Her dark wavy hair seemed to frame a mask of pure terror as she looked at the screen, then at the audience, then at me. I sat perfectly still, my gray eyes fixed on the display. Ethan tried to stand up, but his legs seemed to give way. Ava, I can explain, he stammered, his sandy brown hair matted with cold sweat. There's nothing to explain, Ethan, I said, my voice barely a whisper but cutting through the silence like a knife. The screens then transitioned to a live diagnostic of Aegis Tech's entire server farm. My Icarus virus was spreading through their network, wiping every piece of proprietary data they owned. Sophia had connected the stolen code to her mainframe, and now her entire company was being erased. You wanted my life's work, I said, standing up and smoothing my black suit. But you forgot that I built the system you're trying to use. You didn't steal a miracle. You stole a suicide note. The investors began to shout. The journalists were frantically typing, and security guards were moving toward the stage. Sophia was screaming at her technicians, her dark wavy hair disheveled as she realized her empire was vanishing in seconds. Ethan was cornered by 2 federal agents I had alerted weeks ago. He looked at me, pleading, his sandy brown hair a mess, his charcoal suit suddenly looking like a funeral shroud. I didn't feel pity. I felt the cold satisfaction of a job well done. I walked toward the exit, the chaos of the room fading behind me. As I reached the glass doors of the convention center, I took out my phone and deleted the last trace of Ethan from my life, a photo of us on our wedding day. I stood on the sidewalk, the cool San Francisco breeze hitting my face. My platinum blonde bob didn't move. In the distance, I could see the flashing lights of the police cars arriving to take Sophia and Ethan into custody for corporate espionage and fraud. I had lost a husband and a home, but I had protected my legacy. I looked up at the sky, my gray eyes sharp and clear. In the world of technology, everything is replaceable hardware, software, and even people. I had performed a total system override on my life, and for the first time, the code was finally clean. I walked toward my car, ready to build something new, something that no one would ever be able to steal again. The age of the power couple was over. The age of Ava had just begun.
What would you do if you were in this situation? Let's talk in the comments.